This is episode 301 of the Super League pod. Fans are back in the Super League and magic card tricks are seen in the NRL. Find out from your fan views of the last week in Rugby League, who's been trolling, who's been tripping, and how bad is our tipping. Nicknames are remembered and cancelled, and there's a history lesson too. So strap in, it's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 301 of the Super League pod. A day later than usual, but isn't everything this week, Alan?
It certainly feels like it, yes. Very unusual day yesterday for many reasons, but yeah, we're here, but you know, I think everyone will agree it was the right thing to do to wait until Monday's games were in the bag.
That's right, yeah, absolutely. Well, it was the right thing to do to wait for games to be on when crowds can be in as well. We've waited so long, and who knows if India comes and ruins everything for us, we might have another spell off. So get people in before that gets spreading. But it seems like lots of people were in the grounds and lots of people had lots of fun. So we'll find out more about it, I'm sure, as we go along. I was jealous. You know, a touch on the... Not, I wouldn't quite say emotional, but like it was quite disorientating in a way to see fans in the stands, and a little bit... And I was definitely jealous that I wasn't in the stands watching my team.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of reassuring, you know, when people say, you know, the world's healing, etc. And, you know, we had cries about the referee being bent and, you know, oh, bloody forward.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, within like 2 minutes. And, you know, and they're booing. And, yeah, it was like, you know, everything's you know, Warrington kind of disappointing in a big match. You know, it's all, everything's back to normal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we'll talk maybe more about what impact the fans might have had on the games when we get to the games. Do you want to start with the episode sponsor, though, Al?
Yep, so this episode, as always, is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop. You can find a wide range of toys, gifts, Rugby League birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop, and on any orders over £5, you can earn 5% cash back, and 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers if you put SLP discount at checkout.
Good stuff. So we're going to do something we haven't done for a while, and start off with a bit of self-indulgent, I think. We've got some very nice feedback from the listeners on us bringing up our 300th regular weekly show last week. There's a sneakily large amount of news to cover, but not much of it needs a deep dive, but there's a lot of it to make sure we're all caught up. And a few rumours as well that we've had listener views in, so we wouldn't normally comment on rumours, but... people have wanted to talk about them, so we talk about them. And then it's the return of fans in Super League in round 6. So we'll get to those games, all the other results, and make our predictions for next week too. But let's start with a nice big dose of feedback from some of the more iconic names of the SLP heritage, I think, as well on this. Who's sent in some feedback? Do you want to? We'll rotate.
Yep, so we'll start with Rob. Rob's Toy Shop saying, congrats on your 300th episode, gents and lady.
Yep. Paul Mac_78 said, congrats on the 300th, guys. You've been part of my Tuesday routine for 7 years now. Here's to 7 more.
You'll just have to be Wednesday this week, Paul.
7 more years. That'll be a long time. But Paul, I think the good news, hopefully, the positive-ish looking news, as long as, you know, the India variant doesn't fuck everything up, is Australian people should be able to come over for the World Cup as it stands right now. So let's hope that stays the same way and we'll get to see you in person finally.
Yeah, fingers crossed and, you know, touch wood and all that. Tom Andrews says, congrats on 300. The best Rugby League podcast going.
That's nice.
He's not wrong
to say so. Dr. Bob Phillips said, well done, Super League Pod, and getting to 300 main range shows. This is a magnificent milestone, perhaps matched by it being a quiz where I got more right than Mark did. Oh no, I got one right that Mark didn't, he said. I don't know which one it was. I wasn't very good on the quiz last week. I can't imagine I'm going to be very good this week. You've had a long day.
Well, I mean, yeah, just to give Bob a little bit of a sneak peek, it's got very little to do with Rugby League this week, so you might have a chance.
Oh, excellent.
So, also, Fatboy Rob's been in touch on his other account saying the 300th episode has its usual share of fan bitterness, mainly from me this week. Plenty of fan reviews and the hardest quiz since the 1989 final of University Challenge. It was a tricky quiz last week. I'll will say that.
Yeah, talking to people who can get in touch on different accounts. Hypothetic RL podcast at Hypothetic RL. David got in touch. He said, I only just picked you guys up 2 years ago, but I'm glad I did. Yeah, we're glad to have you along as well, Dave.
The Frog at Walt Frogman says, congrats on 300 eps. I know it was stated you forgot all the nicknames of players over that time, but how you didn't talk about Swift so much without dropping a cartoon dog? Yes.
Do you know, a year out injured will do anything to forget my any kind of nicknames we gave to people. I was trying to think of others, and do you know what? I came up with about 3 or 4 others over the last week, and they're all dropped out of my head now, which is so frustrating. I should have wrote them down. But yeah, the cartoon dog was a really good one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We'll see if any more come out as we go along today.
Yeah.
Alan Walker got in touch and said, congrats on the big 300 to Mark and the co-hosts. How time flies. It seems like yesterday when it all started. It was a long time ago. I wasn't even married when it all started, so it doesn't feel like yesterday to me.
And last one from this one, John Hamilton says, congrats on 300 episodes of SLP. I can't remember if we talked about it before. I'm not sure how I discovered the pod, but my first episode was just after Sam Burgess announced he was coming back to Rugby League. And I really enjoyed your rant about some of the press and union people being so arsey about it. Anyway, thank you so much to you and the others for putting consistently great pod out every week.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many rants, hasn't there? In 300 episodes, there's been way more than 300 Mark rants. So I don't remember that one specifically, but I'm sure I went in full pelt.
I have no doubt you would have got fired up, let's say.
Let's say that, yeah. Fatboy Rob got in touch as well with some other feedback on more of a traditional kind of the feedback we talk about these days, a talking point, and it's around the disciplinary. So it's talking about the Liam Watts suspension, which he got a grade B charge, didn't he, last week for a dangerous contact, a late hit in the Salford game, and he was it the Salford game? Whoever they played last week anyway, a late hit, and yeah, in the cup. And Watts got a grade B charge, which was a 1-match penalty notice, but they chose to contest the grading of that offence and say it should be a grade A, did Castleford. And the RFL tribunal decided that it was frivolous appeal. So what Fatboy Rob said is, top trolling from the disciplinary panel, doubling Watts' ban for a frivolous appeal. The system is broken. So yeah, Liam Watts is now banned for 2 games rather than the 1 game if he'd accepted the penalty notice, and a £500 fine as well to boot. So what did you make of this? Because last week I was saying that I thought it looked more like a grade A than a grade B to me. So it sounds like I'm kind of on Cass's side here, which is a bit dodgy.
There's a first time for everything. I don't really have a problem with the grading. I think sometimes the kind of the grey between your letter gradings can be, difficult to kind of interpret. So it didn't strike me as being particularly excessive as a grade. it just feels they're obviously trying to discourage appeals on the basis that it's in the opinion of the disciplinary panel, and they are less biased than the player and the club involved, aren't they? So for me, it just feels like they're just trying to stamp out any kind of because otherwise you just get appeals on the basis that I'm not going to lose anything if I lose my appeal. So it's putting that kind of sense of making people think twice before they put an appeal into the system, which I think is fair enough.
I think it's an interesting read on the disciplinary page, and I get the sense that the reason why they've deemed the challenge to it as frivolous is that they came with a comparison clip that was not, in the panel's opinion, a close comparison. So it was an incident that had got a caution rather than a suspension or any grading of charge. It just was a caution, the one they brought as kind of a comparison clip, and the board gave a other comparison clip that was a grade B offence that hadn't been challenged, and said this is more comparable in our eyes. And I wonder if it's a combination of it being Liam Watts, so he's got a pretty sketchy disciplinary record, and the fact that they were showing an incident that wasn't comparable enough is why they thought they were being a bit frivolous in their attempt to get it changed. But I do have some sympathy in this one, that I thought it was a little bit, the charge was maybe excessive, but then if you start challenging it with something that's not comparable, you kind of, like you say, you're going to be put off from doing that kind of behaviour, aren't you? And that's what seems to have happened. But I'm reluctant to side with Castleford, Liam Watson, Rob and Fatboy Rob here, but I think I am. I don't think the system's broken, but I think this was the wrong decision. Yeah.
Yeah, but even, decisions that you disagree with don't necessarily mean that the system is broken, potentially, does it?
No.
That's the nature of these things.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so that is the feedback and opening. Thanks everyone for your nice comments about us reaching 300 main apps. We're now gonna move on to news from around the world of rugby league.
So we move into news this week, and the first story is that Leigh, a town in the back of beyond without a train station, will host a Challenge Cup triple header on Saturday, June the 5th. The first of the three matches will be the Women's Challenge Cup final, which kicks off at 11:15 with live coverage on BBC Two. Hull then take on Saints in the first of the men's semi-finals, which kicks off at 2:30, which is live on BBC One. And then the final match will be Cass against Warrington, which kicks off at 5 o'clock on BBC Two. So COVID restrictions mean that capacity at the Leigh Sports Village will be severely limited. Each of the four Challenge Cup semi-finalists have been given an initial allocation of approximately 600 tickets, with the clubs running ballots for the ticket allocations. The RFL said details of the Women's Challenge Cup finalists will be confirmed in the week starting May 24th. So the Women's Challenge Cup semi-finals will be played at the Linear Community Stadium in New York, with both games being streamed by the BBC. The first semi-final is York against Cass, and the second is Saints against the cup holders Leeds.
Yeah, we'll give our predictions on those two games later, but it's great news to see that the report saying they're going to be streamed. We had some people fire up about the venue that was chosen. I think not surprising in some ways. Fatboy Rob said, the RFL have exceeded even my low expectations of them with this one. I don't know whose idea it was to play a triple header in one of the smallest grounds and have Hull fans travel across the whole country, but whoever it was needs sacking. 600 fans from each club is an insult and shows how little the RFL think of the fans. And Tom Andrews said, what a stupid decision. Why not get it in a large capacity stadium to allow the most fans possible? 600 a team is laughable, and is what, less than 10% of Hull and Wyre's pass holder fan base. So, what do you think? Is it defendable? This choice that Lee is going to host these games? Is there a defence to be mounted on behalf of the RFL?